Hey friends, it's Rabbi Jenny Solomon here at Beth Meyer Synagogue with a mincha moment during this week of Parshat Vayikra. So we're beginning a brand new book of the Torah this week, having just finished the book of Exodus and now moving into Leviticus. The book of Leviticus is sometimes viewed as the least favorite if you were to poll the Jewish people, at least in modern times, because after all, it deals primarily, although not exclusively, but primarily with the sacrificial system of the ancient Israelites, about offering sacrifices, and specifically about sort of an instruction book for the priests. Though we no longer have priests in the same way, this book, I think, offers us an instruction manual for a priestly orientation. Namely, a priest, especially in ancient times, was someone who, like a doctor or a therapist or a healer, was willing to turn towards difficulty, pain, suffering, brokenness, sin, and help figure out a way to make things right again. And when we see things out in the world or in ourselves that are broken, where we see pain and hurt and woundedness, it's easy to want to turn away from that. And the priestly orientation is one which invites us to look towards, to look at the hurt, the pain, and the brokenness. And even in this opening portion of the book of Leviticus, I think we are offered some really beautiful affirmation and invitations for our spiritual practice. And the first is, namely, that the whole point of the sacrificial system is to have some kind of metrics and actions and rituals we can take in the knowledge that we are humans, and that being human means that we are going to make mistakes. All of us. All of us are going to make mistakes of all kinds. And we have to have a system for how we make those mistakes right, how we fix them. So first, it's just a reminder that I know when I make a mistake, I can be really, really punitive. The voice of my inner Pharaoh, of my superego, is very loud. And it can be really hard to acknowledge when I have caused hurt or harm to others, to the world, to myself even. And so this Torah portion comes to remind us that to make mistakes is to be human. The second, if you read the Torah portion closely, as each of the sacrifices is introduced, there's an instruction given that the priest is supposed to lay on hands to really touch the sacrifice. And it's a little messy and gruesome in terms of at least the animal sacrifices. But I want to suggest that this laying on of hands invites us again to come close to the mistake, to the hurt, to the pain. Rashi says that to lay on hands is actually to put the weight of one's body against it. And I think that this can actually be done with a gentleness. It doesn't have to be slamming against. It can be a gentle placing of hands. It can be a placing of hands that acknowledges the depth of the hurt while also applying loving, gentle pressure and compassion, which is, after all, I believe, how we fix things in the end. Not through force, but through a willingness to see with gentle, loving pressure. And I just want to close by sharing the words of Rebbe Nahman of Bratzlav, a great Hasidic master who is often quoted for having said that if you believe that we can break something, you must believe that we can also repair it. And so I think this Torah portion, this system of sacrifices, that though it is no longer something that we practice since the destruction of the temple, it's a reminder to us that for all the problems in the world, all the problems in our lives that we think we've broken and that they cannot be fixed, that's not actually the stance of a faithful person. A Jewish perspective is one in which we say, yes, we're willing to come close, to see, to even touch what feels in pain, what feels hurt, what feels broken, what feels wounded, what feels like we missed the mark. And we can fix it. There is some way in which we can begin to take a step forward in making this right, whatever that may be under the circumstances. So, friends, there's a lot broken out there in the world and in ourselves. I'm speaking to myself as well. And it's easy to feel like things are intractable, that they are, that we're stuck. And we may feel stuck at times. We may feel overwhelmed at times. But I think that the Jewish wisdom, the spiritual wisdom of our tradition is that we don't get to stay stuck. We don't get to become cynical. We continue to use our spiritual practice and our spiritual action out in the world to help fix things, to truly bring about tikkun olam. All right, friends, hang tight. Shalom. Peace.